I remember reading somewhere that, Shakespeare's plays are full of quotes. That's what somebody said. And what did he mean by that? We quote so much from Shakespeare. Well, today, the poet that I'm going to be talking about is somebody like that, Rumi. Who hasn't heard of Rumi? For example, the quotes that we have from Rumi are so well known, and there's probably no topic on which we can't quote from him. I'm going to restrict myself to love. Love is the water of life. Drink it down with your heart and soul. Let the beauty of what you love be what you do. Only from the heart can you touch the sky. The heart knows 1,000 ways to speak. I have no religion. My religion is love. My heart is my temple. Love is the bridge between you and everything. I could go on and on when I think of all that Rumi has to say about love. Not just love, life and beauty and any other topic that you can think of. But today, the poem is about love and a love story that we all know. The Laila Majnu love story, but with a different angle. Let's see. Jalaluddin Muhammad Rumi, 1207 to 73. He was a poet, but he was also many other things. He was called a Hanafi Faqih, which means a jurist. He was an Islamic scholar. He was a Sufi mystic. He was a Maturidi, and that means a theologian. Theologian is how I should be saying it. And what language did he write in? He wrote in Persian, in Turkish, in Arabic, and hold your breath, even in Greek. In those days, they didn't have the kind of country borders that we have. So he transcended borders, was born in one country that we talk about, and moved on to another country. He was an experimental poet. Do you remember the whirling dervishes? Well, he believed that helped you fight the phlegm in your body, the 4 fluids that Johnson had talked about. He was influenced and influenced Persian literature. And today it's interesting to think of Rumi as being such a major influence even on our own Urdu and Bengali poetry of today. Turkey, Afghanistan, Persia, Arabia, in all these countries, he is respected and popular. His best known works are Matnavi Manavi, which is actually a collection of spiritual couplets. His Diwan-e Kabir is considered to be one of his greatest works and consists of 26,000 couplets. Just imagine. Fihi ma fihi, which can be translated roughly into in it, what's in it. There are also lectures by him. There are sermons, and there's so much more, like the letters that he wrote to his disciples. That is the Rumi we are looking at today. Laila and the Khalifa. We all know Laila and the Khalifa. The Khalifa is actually a generic term, which actually means leader. So when it's Laila talking to the Khalifa, what could they be talking about? Let's listen to the first verse of the poem before I talk about the poem. The Khalifa said to Laila, "Art thou really she for whom Majnu lost his head and went distracted? Thou art not fairer than many other fair ones." And she replied, "Be silent, thou art not Majnu." So look at the discussion. Remember, so often we say beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. And whether it be Romeo and Juliet, or Laila and Majnu, and ever so many lovers, sadly, the lovers we remember are the ones whose love didn't succeed. What do I mean by that? The story does not end with they lived happily ever after. So to come back to this poem, the Khalifa, who actually stands for logical reasoning mind, and Laila obviously is the opposite. So too would have been Majnu. So Khalifa looks at Laila and says, what is there in you that Majnu should have been so distracted that he was ready to give up everything that he had for you? You are not fairer, you are not more beautiful than many other girls and women that I have seen. And Laila answers beautifully, be silent, thou art not Majnu. If thou hadst Majnu's eyes, the two worlds would be within thy view. Thou art in thy senses, but Majnu is beside himself. In love, to be wide awake is treason. The more a man is awake, the more he sleeps to love. His critical wakefulness is worse than slumbering. Come on, you Khalifa, what do you know of love? You think too much. You have to sleep so that you can dream. You have to dream so that you can see what Laila is like. And you, she tells the Khalifa, are incapable of doing that. Don't look with the eyes, the senses that we talk about. Don't look with this physical eye. You need another kind of eye to be able to appreciate what Majnu did. And then she goes on, our wakefulness fetters our spirits, then our souls are a prey to diverse whims. Thoughts of loss and gain and fears of misery, they retain not purity, nor dignity, nor luster, nor aspiration to soar heavenwards. Come on, you seem to be lost in all the nitty-gritty of everyday life. We lose our time in spending, earning and spending, as another poet had said. That one is really sleeping who hankers after each whim and holds parley with each fancy. Remember the fancy and imagination of the romantic poets. So you have to allow yourself to be fanciful. You have to allow yourself to be away from reason. Remember, my dear friends, this is where the idea of Sufism begins. The idea of transcendence, to be able to get out of yourself. And what do we need to transcend? We need to transcend logic. We need to transcend our brain. We need to transcend rationality, because there's much more in life than rationality. You have to be, as Shakespeare had said somewhere else, the poet, the madman, and the lover, they're all alike, right? Because they live beyond the world of reason. So let us move away. If you want to understand what true love is, if you want to understand Majnu's love for me, she's telling the Khalifa, be willing to embrace madness, because only then can you be a true lover. Get into that ecstatic slumber maybe, where you can dream, and then you can be a true poet and a true lover. By the time you come to this part of my lecture, I'm sure you're waiting for a list of figures of speech. But I'm not going to do that here, because this poem has something much more than that. And that is the layers of meaning. Is it just a beloved talking about her lover? Is it the devout, the devotee talking about his God, his maker? I'm using the word his, but it is Laila, so I better be saying her. But then Rumi, after all, is a male, so I could say his too. Is it about the ability of the human mind, the human heart, to move away from rational thinking, the ability to transcend normal everyday experiences? I think this poem has to be looked at from all these angles. Not, of course, forgetting the very, very overriding, underlying idea of symbolism that runs all through the poem. Each poet is different, each poem is different, and I'm sure each reader is different. So we can bring a lot of our own meanings to this poem as we listen to it again and again. For who is not in love with a lover? Do you remember the number of Hindi movies that have been made on Laila and Majnu? I think when you think of that, the actors and actresses come to mind. And then you say, oh, I prefer that movie better because I like that actress better. So too with Laila and Majnu. To me, it's not just the movies. It's about people who have talked about them. That love which has to be experienced if you want to understand that. So can I invite you to read more love poems, to look at more movies made on Laila and Majnu? I'm sure as you're listening to me, each one of you is thinking of your favorite Laila and Majnu.